Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today, we're going to be speaking to you about the battle between rest and work. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. This is our final episode for 2021. Before we jump into today's topic, Nick, how are you this morning?
Very good, sir. I've got a little bit more of a tan than I usually have.
More of a tan, extra tanned.
Extra
today.
tan today on my arms and my head.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much face cream you put on and sunscreen you put on, the Australian sun is always going to get you somehow. So,
she's a hot one, that's for sure.
yeah, I was water skiing on the weekend, so it was good. Yep. And my son got up on single ski.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. It's for anyone that water skis, it's an achievement.
Okay, cool. So I need to start water skiing.
Yeah, it's an achievement.
Never done it, so one day we'll jump in the water, in the boat. That's right.
Yeah.
Today we're wanting to, again, this is the last episode for 2021. We've got a really good topic lined up today, wanting to speak with you or give some advice to the listeners and the viewers here about the battle between rest and work. Nick, can you open this up and explain exactly what you mean by that? And I'm guessing it's timely with Christmas being here and everyone's like flat out up until the end of this week. Let's unwrap this and break it down a little bit. What do you mean by the battle between rest and work?
First of all, I think it's an interesting topic. I believe it's based on people's value sets, right? That's kind of the big part of it. But I think all entrepreneurs at some level wrestle with this. They wrestle with, should I keep the computer on? Should I go to the office? Do I need to go to the warehouse? Should I go in on Sunday with flat out? Versus, do I take some time off, rest, relax, when you've got to pay the bills and you also know that you've got to get the work done, right, at the end of the day. So
there's always that guilt factor.
It's kind of that guilt factor, right? So and if you're an entrepreneur and you haven't experienced this, maybe you might want to re-question yourself, so if you've got an emotion setter and a heartbeat, right? So because everyone I know as an entrepreneur has questioned it. Everyone. Yeah. And these are, companies that are big companies and guys that are, solopreneurs, right? So, sole operators and stuff. So the first thing is, I think you've got to really come to terms with it, because sooner or later, it needs to be taken care of. Because if you keep on coming up with this to go, I feel guilty when I'm, at work because I'm not spending time with the kids, or I'm at home feeling guilty about work because I'm spending time with the kids, right? There's this conflict of interest, right?
Right.
You've got to figure it out. So number one, I said, I think you've got to start here with, what's the best model for you and what's the best model for the business? Now, from the you side of things, most people as entrepreneurs go, I really love what I do. I really love working. I understand, though, I need to, eat and sleep and, hang out with my friends and family and relatives and husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever, go to a club if that's what I like, go to golf if that's what I like, whatever it may be, right? And that's kind of around the you. So, how much you time do you need? That's really, really important. Now, some people need more you time. I'm figuring that a brain surgeon isn't doing operations, 10 hours a day. All right. They need some them time to recover, to reset, to focus, to meditate, to relax.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to,
you can't be making mistakes. And
it's a bad day for you, right? So, and I'm figuring, by the way, it'd be interesting to find out how many days that they operate, but I'm figuring it might be once or twice a week or something like that, So, and because some of those surgeries are like 15 hours long or whatever, right? So I think it's important to go, first of all, what's the best model for you, right? And what's that like? Now, if I take me as an example, I'm pretty active, I'm up early at 5:30 and then, I go to bed about 10:30, 11, depending on what it is. Now, for a lot of people, that's not sustainable. But, for me, I figured that I like to have Mondays off if I can, maybe Friday. half day and I don't work weekends, because, in my previous jobs and stuff like that and businesses, I've worked 7 days a week for 8 years. So, I understood what it's like to do it. It becomes so norm that you just go to work. That's all I did was work.
That's right.
Right. So, now for me, my U times are built a little bit different. I really like 3 days concentrated, 10, 15 hours a day, and then the rest I can do. So I'm still clocking in 30, 40 hours, plus 50 hours in some cases of doing stuff. So, right.
Yeah. So just before you jump into that, so do you figure that out through like testing? Is it just like I want a day off, I'll start there, and then I think maybe I should have Friday afternoons off? Like, how do you figure that out?
Well, first of all, I think, interesting enough, I think it actually needs to be an internal thing, and what I mean by an internal thing is everybody does what they want to do from a choice that they make to do, right? Like, so if you go, no, hey, I want to go to the pub today, I'm going to finish at 4, I'm going to go to the pub because my mates are there, or, I just feel like going because, I don't know, I need a drink, right? You'll go. It's just internally you've made that decision to do it. It's like people, go, gamble. People, go to brothels. People, tow caravans. People do whatever, right? I don't know, but make Lego, right? There's always time if you really want to make time. That's the thing. Right. But it's that internal decision first. So I think when you go U time, even before you get going with okay, now I'm going to apply this, like you're saying, the half day, the 1 day, how do I practice it? I think, and I'm going to talk about that, but I think internally you absolutely need to make a decision that you're okay with, that's based on you first. Now, some people need more you time. In other words, they're more selfish, not rather than selfless. And that's cool. Selfish isn't a bad word. Selfish means I just need more time for me, or it's about me, or whatever, right? And that's cool. Some people are just like that. Then the other part to it, I suppose, is the model is for the business. Now, if a business could talk, well, which it does talk, by the way, you just got to read it and listen to it, right? If a business could talk, you'd probably go, hey, I need X amount of hours open. We need to do X amount of sales. We need to bring in X amount of money, and we need to have X amount of marketplace, stand, and all of these things that come from that. So to me, that's kind of the business needs. Now, if your value set is based around, my dad always told me, or my mum always told me that, I just have to work all the time and make money because, or else, there's never going to be whatever. Like my mate, he goes, any word that ends with, any day that ends with day means I've got to work. Right. So, and that's cool. But, now they're cutting parts out of him, unfortunately. So,
wow.
It's cool. So once again, you've got to go, what's your value around it? Now, if it's the battle between business and you, well, the business is always kind of going to win at some cases because it always has this fear element around it. Don't feed me and you're not going to make any money. Don't feed me and you could lose me. Don't feed me. Like, it's this interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah.
But you've also got to go, what's the most important thing in life? And that's called you. No you, no life for you. That's how it works. Right. So first of all, I think you've got to find out what's the best model for you. And the best way to do it, I think, is, just get yourself a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, write you and write business, and then start writing the things down that you need and write the things down that the business needs. That's always a good start. Yeah. Super easy. I don't want to overcomplicate stuff, right?
Okay, cool.
There's already a battle going on between rest and work anyway. So you've got to try to figure it out.
All right.
Now, step 2, what are the key fear checks? And what I mean by key fear checks is what really freaks you out. And, let's face it, almost every human on the planet, there's an element of fear around money, because money dictates a lot of things, whether you got a roof over your head, whether you don't, whether you got food on the table, where you don't, whether you can buy the Lambo or you can't. There's all of these things, and everybody's got a different fear. The guy got a bigger boat than me. Yeah, I've got to get a bigger, right? There's all of this stuff, right? That always happens. So, it's one of those things there, once again, that then says, I'm going to, like I said, I think you need to ask the question, what are your key fear checks? Now, fear, let's think about it. Some people's fear is what somebody else going to say if I don't work 12 hours a day. And this is very, very prevalent in, tradie type businesses or in Australia itself. Oh, look at this bludger. Oh, look at that guy. Man. What are you taking the day off again? What are you?
Yeah, right. Well, okay.
Mate, I'd love to go fishing just like you. Oh, what do you mean you can take that day off? There's all of this embedded, mimetic viruses up here that have got something to do with, this whole model of if I don't work 400 hours a week, I am not worthy. So that's a fear. For some people, their internal fear is judgment. Yeah.
Or, which is another, like the other side of that is if I don't work 400 hours a week, I won't become successful.
I won't become, exactly.
The same sort of thing.
As we know, that's the stupidest thing you could ever think about, right? But it's judgment. So by the way, and I think if you're listening to this, it's your internal judgment of you.
Yeah.
And it's other people judging you. So, there's the fear of other people judging you. The other one is the fear around money. And some people, it's not actually the money that's the fear. It's the projected fear of, what am I going to lose if I don't have money? What am I going to become if I don't have money? There's all of that stuff. Oh God, I've lost money before. What happens if it happens again?
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the pain that I've experienced because I've been there before. I'm never going there again.
Completely.
So that fear eats in. I get it.
Well, that eats in and basically says, mate, if you could work Christmas Day, go for it.
That's it.
Because it's interesting. Work, even though it's work, doesn't feel like it's eroding your body or your time. You notice that? It really does, especially if you're doing physical work or, you work in a mine or you work in a steel foundry or you work in I don't know, you're a doctor. It's still mentally draining. It's still physically draining. Humans never used to do that. We'd go out, we'd, go and do some stuff and, we'd go hunting, we'd come back around for a little bit and then, we'd build something and then we relax for a little bit. That's what we did. But now, we've got, fake light that's called power internally. And, that's the fake sun. It means it's sunny all the time if you want it to be sunny all the time, right? So, and that's why some people, even their bio patterns are out, sleep patterns are out, like sleep rhythmic patterns are out because they're working at night where technically we used to sleep at night, right? So surely or slowly it's eroding you and wearing you out. That's how it is, right? Now, check in with your fear. What are the key, fear checks that you need to check in with? And suss them out. Are they coming more so from once again, a value set, a belief that I had that's outdated? To me, if I could do 2 hours a week and, make $2 million a year, I'd be doing 2 hours a week to make $2 million a year.
Yeah.
But, you can't, right? So working smarter rather than harder makes logical sense unless, all you've got is work.
Yep.
Right. So you need to question that part. Where are you with that? Have you given up everything else other than, your job or your business?
Okay, cool.
Number 3, what happens if you keep on the current trajectory? If you keep on doing what you're doing right now in the battle between rest and work, if you're resting all the time, and you want to make money, what's going to happen if that's your current model? If all you do is work, and you keep on doing that, what is going to be your trajectory? What's going to be the end goal? And I can tell you, if it's work, it's either, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to get some other disease, they'll cut parts out of you, you're going to get a nervous breakdown, probably get something like, a nasty, illness. Like it's all this stuff because that's what happens. It's like you're out of equilibrium, right? Yep. I've spoken about the pendulum effect and stuff, So I think it's important to go, well, what happens if I do that? And write this down. Sure, I'm going to make more money, or maybe I'm going to stress out more, or maybe I'm going to lose a wife or lose the kids. Or, there's got to be this because it's the relationship that you've got. Yep. Either you're married to the business or you're married to your wife or your husband or whatever, or whatever, or your
I
kid.
Yeah, that's right. I learned a really interesting decision-making technique a little while back, and I think it would be perfect and very timely for this right now. With, what's the current trajectory? There's three questions in the decision technique or the framework. One, what's the best case scenario as a result of doing this or making this decision? B, what's the absolute worst case scenario as a result of making decision? The third question is, can you afford or do you want to live with the outcome of the worst case scenario? So
Yeah, that's a good point.
what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? And are you willing to live with the outcome of the worst case scenario if it happens? So that's the decision-making framework or technique that you could use. What's my current trajectory? And this could work across lots of things, whether it's your life, your family, your relationships, your money situation, whatever. You could have a decision-making framework around all of those things. But it's a matter of, like you said, it's if I continue to do what I'm currently doing, what's going to be the outcome, and will I be okay with the outcome?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question to ask. And that, once again, I think is, like the battle between it. This isn't an either or. This is, to me, a complementary, symbiotic relationship. That's really what it is, right? So what happens if you keep on that current trajectory? Number 4 is, what gap planning do you need to apply? And what I mean by that is, if you want to work less throughout your business and take more holidays, what do you need to do in order to do that? All right. If you want to work more in your business, what do you need to do to ensure that maybe your family or your friends or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, has their time as well? And like you just said, are you willing to live with that? Right. So, I think a gap level of planning is really important.
Yeah,
what
right.
do I have now? What do I need to have in order to make sure that this is once again equilibrium?
Sure. And it's about shrinking the gap in order to get to where you want to be. Is that it?
Yeah, because I think it's about working smarter rather than harder, right? Because a lot of people, unfortunately, just keep on working harder. I spoke about that model at the mastermind. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. And I'm like, that's cool. Maybe it should be smart. So, if you think about it, doesn't it make sense that in your gap assessment, if you want to have a little bit more free time, plus you also want to have a really good family life, plus you also want to have, everything else that you want in life, it makes sense that you think about the gap in order to do that in the most simple, effective way.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
That should be the plan, no? So, I think with that, that would make life a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Then what it does is it, allows you to be in a position to get the best of both worlds, right? So work on a gap, because you don't have to change everything. There's only certain things that you need to change because you're kind of doing it already. If you're going, I'm spending so many hours that all I do is work all the time, but geez, I need to have some time off. To me, it sounds like your systems and processes need to change, and or your whole business model needs to change.
That's right.
That part's very, very kind of logical, isn't it? But most people don't do it. They want more time off, but they just keep on working hard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think part of it is looking at what, taking responsibility for, or ownership at least, for making that change and going, no, I don't want to work Sundays, or I don't want to work on the weekends. What am I going to do differently?
How do I be more efficient?
And I say to business owners that I work with, let's be selfish here. Let's talk about your wants. What do you want out of this business? How is it going to be a vehicle for you? How can we get to having weekends off? What do we have to shift and change to make that happen? So I think there's an element of selfishness there to go, no, I'm going to dig my heels in and say, no more working weekends. What do I need to shift? How more efficient do I need to become? Can I rely on technology or whatever to get me there? And like you said, minimize that gap, which is key to it.
It's interesting. I mean, if you don't want to work weekends, no one's putting a gun to you. Once again, people choose to do that because that's right. How they are in their head. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's why I think you need the gap to figure, just write down the gap between where you are today and where you want to be.
Right.
And then finally, the timeline for actionable change. And let me kind of say that again, the timeline for actionable change. And what I mean by that from an actionable change point of view is it's no use keep on doing the same stuff. And if you want to try to get a different outcome here, without, you know what I mean? Like without taking, actionable change, you're always going to keep on getting the same, stuff. And the reason why I said timeline is, geez, it'd be good to change one thing and everything changes. But it doesn't usually work like that in business.
No.
You could not work Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
But if your business is in, I don't know, hospitality and it's a cafe and it's right at the beach and Saturday and Sundays are busiest, you could choose not to work the weekends. But I guarantee you that you're going to have a different outcome.
Yeah.
So, maybe then that's where you close Monday, Tuesday. Some people go, no, I want to work Monday. And we need to work Monday, Tuesday because there's a lot of people at the beach. Well, then it sounds to me like you need to get somebody to do that work instead of you.
Yeah.
Well, I can't because I can't get people. Well, it sounds like you need to recruit better. If you want a job done, do it yourself. Well, that sounds to me like it's a mindset problem. Even if I get somebody, they're going to be reliable. That sounds to me like it's a recruitment job.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you see, I'm just unpacking it.
Yeah, no, that's good because this is probably the same sort of internal dialogue that's going through a lot of, business owners' minds. So
that's it. What happens about those repayments? It's like, well, you should have maybe thought about that with the repayments part of it to make sure that you're not just bootstrapping all the way to do it. And 4 out of 5 businesses fail because of finances and bootstrapping. You're trying to build this beast with no money. How do you do that? I'll work harder.
Yeah, work harder, work twice as much to gain this twice as much money, but it doesn't necessarily work that way. So
yeah.
Very good, Nick. Let's wrap this up in 2 or 3 quick sentences, if you can. If maybe punch through those 5 points again. The wrestle between working and relaxing, I guess, life and business. Can you give us those 5 again?
Yeah. So just before I give them to you, let's think about it in comparison, right? Because everything's relativity. Let's say there's 52 weeks in a year. Let's say your business is open for 50 weeks of them in some way, shape, or form, right? Even if I said 48 weeks.
Sure.
That's 4 weeks off.
Yeah.
48 weeks active. So it's less than 10%. So if somebody said to you, hey, I'm going to give you 90%, and I'll take 10%, would you be happy? The answer is probably yes. Somebody said to you, there's a 90% chance of winning lotto if you put this ticket in. Would you go for it? 90%. I'm going to go for it. It's pretty good odds.
Yeah.
If somebody said there's a 90% chance of you losing everything because your wife or your husband's about to leave you because all you did is work, what would you do? Would you change?
Probably stop. Yes.
Now, the other side to that is probably about the same. If you only worked 10% and took 90% off, I can pretty much guarantee you 1,000% your business is about to suffer. Unless it's a one-off, that's all we do ever, and that's it. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. So do you see, even when you look at the odds, even if you took 4 weeks off and you work the rest of the year, it's only 4 weeks off. Shit, you got to be deserving that. Nothing can ever be 100%, but most people struggle with what? Here we go. Oh, shit, we've got to take the public holidays off and maybe I'll take a few more days.
Yeah.
So out of 52 weeks, you end up taking maybe 1 week if you like. 51 on, 1 week off. And you tell me why you're getting tired.
Yeah.
You tell me why the next year it comes into it. You tell me it becomes this, you know what I mean? Like there's all of these situations there that you're gonna face.
Yeah, the balance is out completely.
Even
when you put it that way, the 52, so the 1 versus 51, the ratio is completely out.
Even the top athletes around the world, the tennis players, they do what, 60, 70 games a year? They still have 3 months down.
Yeah, that's right.
They need to, or else your shoulder, forget it. Some of those matches are 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like
look at any sort of football, even in Australia, it's you play once a week and then there's downtime and resting. Yes, there's training, but you're not doing it 7 days. You don't play 7 games in a week. You only
No,
play one game in a week.
it's unheard of.
Unheard of.
No, you just got to think about it exactly like that. If you're a top athlete, even an Olympian, the best of the best, they're not training all the time. They've got cycles. That's how they do it. Or else it's actually recovery is when they get stronger.
Very true.
Yeah. So number one, what's the best model for you and the best model for your business?
Yep.
Number two, what are the key fear checks that you need to kind of get in check?
Yep.
Right. Number three, what happens if you keep on the current trajectory for you and the business? Number four, what gap planning do you need to apply? How do you get really what you want? And number five, what's a timeline for actionable change?
Very good.
Get a timeline for that, and you need to get into it.
Very good, guys and girls. Hopefully this episode has resonated really well with you. If you're listening or watching this, particularly leading into this time of the year, if you're closing down your business over Christmas or just having a bit of a break, really invest that time into thinking, what do I want for myself? What's important for me? What time do I need? And if the balance is out, like I've said before, maybe it's time to reconsider that for 2022. Before we go, we want to wish all of our listeners and viewers a very Merry Christmas. This will be the last episode of the year. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's just been awesome doing this. And I'm hoping everybody that watches this, you've had a great 2021.
2021. Right? Yeah, we're still there.
2021, and you're great. Your business has gone well. I'm hoping you've enjoyed all of this content that we've created for you every week. Send in your stuff because it's important for us to make sure that we deal with real issues, challenges that you have, key areas that you want to work on, whether it's, mental, physical, spiritual, or business. Man, we're here to help with that in the best way we can. I think it's important to leave this note here. If you thought about it in this way, in 100 years, are they really going to remember you for how much work that you really did all the time? Or are they really going to remember you for the person that you actually were? The times that you've spent with your friends, the influence you've had on your family, on the kids, on other people's kids, friends and all of that stuff. And, people that you've hung out and lived and laughed with and enjoyed life. Or are they just going to go, geez, it was good. He went to the factory every day. That's how he was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a long-lasting sentiment right there. Have a think about that. We'll leave you with that, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas, a safe and happy New Year. And we'll sign off from Coaching Conversations till 2022. Bye now.